Okay, open source has gotten pretty much all sorts of problems as of now. We have got Red Hat Linux pretty much going closed source. I mean, they're claiming that they're gonna show the source code to everybody who buys the operating system, but they can't share the code, use the code, or what? What are they gonna do with it? Eat it? So it's facing a lot of problems as of now. Not only Red Hat Linux, but there's also this Resilience Act from Europe and stuff like that. And it's time someone steps up and helps open source. It's time open source gets a superhero, a guy who would save everything. And that superhero being me. I've decided to go ahead and uplift open source by creating this video, by giving you guys 10 ways through which you could monetize a program or code which is open source by nature. This will not only be able to uplift open source developers who are making almost no money, but this could also go ahead and then save people's life, save apocalypses and so on. So you guys might understand the weight of this video. Yeah, so I'm not gonna waste more time, I'm just gonna get started with the first one, which is custom development services. This is basically where you offer your time and skills to a person who would pay for you and you would code for that person. Essentially, basically, providing custom features and custom specifications in a program which you have done just for one person, and that person is gonna pay for you for doing that. No, really, imagine the amount of money people could have done with this small model of business. On an average, every year, more than 20 million open source projects die, out of which I would assume at least 1 million of them are significant and popular enough for people to use, out of which 43% of them are due to lack of funding, approximately. So you probably understand the scale of monetization which could have been achieved by all of these people who are popular enough, but they just closed because of lack of funding. The second way of monetization for a Foss program would be support and maintenance. Let's say there is some guy in Antarctica struggling to connect to our Wi-Fi. I could go ahead and then charge $5 to him to say that there is no Wi-Fi tower in Antarctica. You see, I am a genius, and that's how I would go ahead and then just make $5. No, really, you could easily just provide support and maintenance services for your own Foss project. Let's say you just made some desktop environment and there's some bug or help needed when it comes to some settings, I guess. You could just go ahead and then message him or email him the answer. I don't know, and then charge extra for a Google meeting and then, manually solving the problem yourself. There are a lot of ways you could make money through support and maintenance. That's my point. Let's move on to the next one, which is training and workshops. For this, I would like to give a real life example which I know of. In the company which I run, we do have to answer a lot of calls which are going to be called, and there is a lot of interaction between customers and my company when it comes to customer support and stuff like that. And for that, my company uses a software called VC Dial. This is a completely open source project which is run by a company, and it's basically a customer care kind of continuous calling tool which you could use in your computer, if you know what I mean. The makers of this software are fairly intelligent when it comes to business. They do have open source software, but it doesn't stop them to train and hold workshops. You see, the software VC Dial itself is so complicated and so overwhelming when it comes to the features it has. It's like KDE basically, but 10 times more confusing when it comes to the options. So these people ask money for training and workshops, and it's basically as simple as that, right? You just hold online training classes to just train your own customers about your own software, and then hold workshops from other third party people who want to train your customers about your software. It's as simple as that. Everybody gets something from this. You get the money, they get the skills to use your software, and it's just the best way to make money if your software is fairly complicated. And let's move on to the next one, which is integration and implementation. Well, for this as well, I would like to give a real life example which I know of, and I'm sure this one, even you know it. Firefox. It's a web browser of choice for most Linux users, other than one of those who use like Qt browser and stuff like that. Firefox basically gets paid for having its default search engine as Google. Let's just take a minute of silence and appreciate this highly intellectual contract between Google and Firefox. And it's not that Firefox makes a fairly less percentage of its income through this contract. In fact, 95% of all the money Firefox makes is through this Google Firefox contract. The time when Firefox is gonna drop down even further in the graph of web browsers being used, Google is probably gonna drop this contract, and it's pretty clear to Firefox as well, and it's pretty much doing nothing as of now for this. But yeah, this web browser makes 95% of its income just through integrating itself through a search engine which most people use anyways. Understand the dumbness of the intellectual people who made this contract, but also understand the clever play of Firefox. You know, the next way of making money is basically white labeling and reselling. This is where you identify exceptional Foss products that are worthy of, the spotlight, and repackage them under your brand. Change the copyright stuff as well as white label vendor. You can offer added value and generate income without the burden of development cost. Now, there are two ways of doing this. The first way is being dumb. For example, Streamlabs OBS. These people just stripped off OBS Studio and then made their own brand, Streamlabs. Not only that, they also decided to steal away OBS customers through their SEO and weird tactics they're using in their websites. This is outrageously dumb and unethical. I would not support this. A very good example of this would be Ubuntu. They have pretty much white labeled Debian. Like, of course, they have taken away Debian and then made them high quality and then beginner friendly enough for other people. Retargeted the audience market and played well with the strategy of product itself, and then that's a good practice. Let's move on with the next way of making money through Foss, which is cloud hosting and managed services. Obviously, the cloud is going to be the future. Everything, including your brain, is going to be floating somewhere in the next 100 or 1000 years. If not our brain, some other people's brain, our future generations. And businesses are eager to harness its power, obviously. You could just go ahead and offer cloud hosting and managed services for Foss applications which you have built, and watch your revenue streams soar sky high. It's as simple as that. Just build a completely open source software, let people use it, and charge a few extra money for people to go ahead and then use cloud services for this. It's as simple as that. You know what? I would love to have KDE have applications like these. I wanted Kdenlive have cloud services. Obviously, I am almost sure that Kdenlive won't have these cloud hosting features, but I would love to see Kdenlive with cloud hosting integrations. In that way, it would be easy for me to edit videos and then also just directly share it to other people who want to look at it, like all my clients. Next up, we have bug bounties and crowdsourcing, and this is basically meant for popular applications and just popular open source applications. This is where you charge, I don't know, $50 for a ticket for people to meet up in a specific place, and you make all the money of people who attend the meetup. Basically, just host a meetup and ask people to meet and cost them $50. And yeah, as simple as that. Next up, we have premium features and add-ons. Now there are two ways you could go about this. The premium features could be completely closed source, and add-ons could be again completely closed source, and the application itself could be open source. This is one way, but the best way is probably to go ahead and then create both of them to be open source, premium features to be open and the normal features to also be open, and then you just charge them for the premium features, and then add some license for not copying the premium features, like Zorin OS. Zorin OS has core version and I guess pro version, if I'm not wrong, where they would charge about 1500 rupees, if I'm not wrong, in my country. So yeah, that's a very good way of making money if you're a fairly popular product. And even if you're not a popular product, having this freemium model in the open source project would be pretty much the classic way of making money through Foss. Next up, we have partnerships and sponsorships. So basically, what most people do at this point, Patreons, uh, donating through PayPal, donating through any other mode of donation, being a member of my channel, which you'll have to be. I'm actually waiting. Please subscribe and be a member. And finally, also, like, basically approaching other corporations for partnerships and sponsorships, as simple as that. And it will get to a very good monetary standpoint. Like, most popular Linux desktop environments and distros do this, and they pretty much get all the love and support from many many companies. Like, for example, have a look at Debian partners. What the fuck is Google doing in here, huh? And then finally, we have productized consulting, which is basically packaging your expertise into ready to use consulting services available for purchasing directly through your website. Basically offer specialized guidance and insights and establish yourself as a go to expert in the Foss ecosystem. Basically, you could provide your expertise in two different ways. The first one is basically they pay for you and then you give it to them, as simple as that. Or, as mentioned, you could just package them in a website and then, just sell your services just like that. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.